damaging to them. It hinders their Christian walk. And when it comes to the Christian race, it's a hindrance because they're wearing something, carrying something that doesn't fit them. It doesn't fit any child of God, but they wear it. Why? Because it was handed down to them, because it was given to them. Sometimes it's developed over a period of time and after some time in their life. Maybe the way they were treated in school. Maybe they were bullied. Maybe the teacher said, well, you're just a failure. All of us have to deal with those things that are thrown at us and into us that we didn't ask for. And for some people, they just brush it off and say, well, you know what, you can just forget it. Or some people take it personally, and it becomes a part of their self-image. And it becomes an encumbrance in their life. A second thing is a defeatist attitude. And that is, there's some people who think somehow I'll never be able to succeed. No matter how hard I try, I just don't have what it takes. And so they approach their job, they approach their marriage, they approach sports, whatever it might be, and somehow they're just not winners. They don't see themselves as winners. They see themselves as defeated by the circumstances of life. Of course, feelings of rejection. One of the most painful, damaging emotions that a person can experience in life is feeling rejected.
Yep.
Oftentimes, this is because of a parent, or maybe a brother or a sister, and you say, well, they wouldn't have that kind of faith. Oh, yes, they do. A brother or a sister can damage one another by their attitude, their actions, and the words that they say to each other. And so they feel rejected. For example, ask any person who has ever been divorced or separated, they feel rejection. Rejection is one of the most painful feelings that a person can experience. And yet, when it happens, if a person does not realize it's there, or cannot somehow accept the fact that they're experiencing rejection, they'll blame somebody else or go through life wondering why they have the feelings that they have. Then there's the whole idea of perfectionism. And the perfectionist is a person who will not, they will not accomplish much in life because they don't think they can do it adequate enough. They won't attempt something because they can't do it perfectly. Well, what's perfect? And so oftentimes they're very defeated in life because of that attitude. People have a fear of failure. No matter what you challenge them with, somehow they have this fear that they may not be able to accomplish it. Some people don't take a good job because they don't feel like they can do a good job at it. Some people are afraid to get married. Some people are afraid, for example, to engage in situations and circumstances that are wonderful opportunities that God gives them, but somehow they have a fear of failure. And then, of course, there is procrastination. They just wait. They just don't do it. They just hold off. If you ask them why, they don't know. But when you link these things together, oftentimes one encumbrance is a part of another encumbrance. And so more than likely it wouldn't be just one, but certainly some of these go together. Then a lack of self-control. If a person doesn't have a sense of self-control, they're easily persuaded in situations and circumstances. And what happens? It gets them off the track. Instead of running the race that God has set for them, His perfect plan and will for their life, they get off doing something else. Many men in the ministry started out listening to God, got distracted by a job, or by more money, or by whatever it might be, step out of the will of God, out of the ministry, what happens? All the rest of their life, they pay a terrible price because they were not able to do, not willing to do, not willing to set their mind to do what God called them to do. A lack of concentration. If a person has a lack of concentration, they don't accomplish much because their mind drifts. It drifts to this and to that and so forth, and you give them something to do, and they get part of it done and say, well, why did you finish? Well, I don't know. I just got distracted. They drift in their thinking. And it's a way of life for them. And these are the kind of people who never really accomplish much in life because they just can't seem to concentrate. They're thinking about it now, but then something comes along, something somebody says, and what happens? They just go from one thing to the other. And then there are people who have a negative attitude about everything. Well, that won't work. Well, the sun's going to shine today, yeah, but it's raining this morning. Well, you're looking fantastic. You're looking fantastic, but you should have seen me yesterday. And so on and on they go. They can come up with something negative no matter what you say. Why? It's in them. It's part of their thinking. They don't look for the good. They can't even accept a good compliment. They just can't do it. Who of us loves somebody who's just negative all the time? We don't, because they you know what they do? They drain something from us. They pull something from us. And so a person who has that attitude has a very damaging attitude. Then there are people who are suspicious. And so you walk up to them and shake hands and say, you know what, I'm so happy to meet you. I wonder what he wants. I wonder what she wants. They're suspicious about everything. You tell them, you give them a present, and they want to know, what do you want in return? And somehow they just can't seem to accept that you could love them, that you could admire them, that you could appreciate them, that you would love to be their friend. They can't do it. They're suspicious of everything. It is a part of one of those encumbrances in their life. And then, of course, one of the worst is indecision. Some people, they can't make a decision. You hear two people are dating each other, and one of them, they say they love each other to death, and one of them's ready to get married, and the other says, well, I'm almost ready. Well, that was a year ago you tell me that. What do you mean you're almost ready? Well, I'm just waiting. Waiting for what? Well, I don't know. I'm just waiting. They can't make a decision. There may be financial opportunities, job opportunities. It may be opportunities in relationships, health, for example. You can't make a decision. Well, I have this pain. Well, they've been to the doctor. No. Well, I'm going. When are you going? Well, I don't know. Probably next to this, but then I'm going. They can't make a decision. So look, all of those things, that's not all the encumbrances there are emotionally. Any one of those in your life is going to hinder you in your relationship to God, your relationship to each other, and your relationship to yourself. Everybody should have a good attitude toward themselves. You say, well, that sounds like pride. It's not pride. Do you think Jesus had a good attitude toward himself? Sure he did. Every single person should be able, listen to this, should be able to love something about themselves. That's not pride. That's not arrogance. That's the fact that God made you. Look how he made you. Some of you are happy with the way he made you. Some of you may not be happy. But God's happy. He made you for a purpose. What does God think? Guess what he thinks? I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I made you the way you are for a specific purpose, and now run the race and make the best of it. Trust me. But if I let these encumbrances into my life and allow them to remain there, they will damage you. Now, I'm going to tell you something about myself, just to let you know that we're all imperfect. Somebody says, well, do you have encumbrances in your life? I had a very damaging encumbrance in my life that I was not even aware of. And it taught me something about looking at other areas of my life to see what was there. And I looked around at this particular point in my life, and everything was right, except on the inside of me, something that I could not identify was not right. I didn't know what it was. I'd pray, I'd look around, I couldn't blame anything on anybody. Church was growing, everything was fantastic except on the inside of me. So finally, I called four of my friends and I said, you know, God's trying to tell me something, and I don't know what it is, and I need some help. Now, I'd already been a pastor for a number of years. So I called these four men, and we all met in Colorado. They all came from different places in the country, and I happened to know them. So I said, here's what I want to do. I don't know what God is trying to say to me, but I've got to find out. So here's what I'd like to do. I would like to tell you everything that I know about me, good, bad, and indifferent. I'd like you to listen, and then whatever you four men agree, because they were godly men, whatever you four men agree I should do, that's what I'll do. They said, okay. So we started about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we talked on until about 10 o'clock that night, had a little dinner. And during the night, I wrote 17 pages, legal-size pages, longhand, of things that I wanted to say to them that I want to be sure I didn't forget. So I did. Next morning, we talked on until about 10 o'clock, and one of these men said, Charles, put your head on the table and close your eyes. So I did. he said, now I had told him everything I knew, and one of the things I told him about is my father died when I was 9 months of age, and I never thought about having a dad, really. And so he said to me, put your hand on the table, close your eyes. I did. He said, your father just picked you up in his arms and held you. What do you feel? And I burst out crying. And cried and cried and cried, and I didn't know why I was crying. She asked me that again. I kept on crying. Finally, when I finished crying, he said to me, he said, what did you feel? I said, I felt hugged, and I felt warm, and I felt secure, and I broke out crying again. I had a big encumbrance in my life, and here's what it was. Up until that day, I never experienced God loving me. I preached it. I told other people about it. But personally, I had never experienced it. And I'll say two things here. The power of a father and its influence upon a child is tremendous. I don't think I would have ever have discovered that about myself if I had not been willing to say to 4 men, tell me everything you see. I'll do whatever you say. I never understood emotionally God loving me. Was it a hindrance? Yes, it was. And I'll tell you something. When I came back home, one of the first things I did is I went to my sermon file to find out how many sermons I'd ever preached on love. 1. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, only 1. I looked at my outline and I thought, that wasn't even worth listening to because it was so shallow. You know why? Because I wasn't experiencing what I was talking about. And I'm telling you all that to say this. That day, that morning, changed my whole life. Changed